Welcome back. Today we'll be talking about the new HBO Max series, Music Box's first episode, Woodstock 99, Peace, Love, and Rage. I'm Carlos.
I'm Samantha.
And I'm Ian.
And let's dive right in. We're watching Woodstock 99 today. It's directed by Garrett Price. He also did a documentary about Janis Joplin in 2015. Did you see that one?
No, I didn't even know that. I don't know anything about this guy.
Yeah, it's called Janis, Little Girl Blue. I think me and Samantha might have watched it when it came out on Netflix. It's a pretty good one if you don't know about Janis.
Is it like kind of like a biography on her, or?
Yeah, it like has a bunch of like her childhood photos and how she rose and all the problems she faced. That was a good one. Anyway, but today we're talking about specifically Woodstock in 1999. Fast forward a couple years from Janis. First of all, what did you think about it, Sam?
That was a wild ride. I liked how so it started off with nostalgia for 1969 and they were trying to bring back that vibe and that feel. And then it quickly turned into violence and destruction and rage and just a shit show.
Yeah. That's the best way, I think, to describe it all. It's just a shit show.
Yeah.
It's the epitome of a shit show.
What'd you think about it, Ian? You're the one who recommended it.
Yeah, so this has been getting a lot of buzz. It came out, I want to say, I think maybe a month ago?
I think it was like last week on
really?
the 23rd of July.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, it's a lot of people have been talking about it, and yeah, I thought it was well done. I didn't agree, well, not to jump ahead, I didn't agree with some of the points they made. And the thing was, there was people making certain points and people making other points, and I found myself kind of going with one or the other sometimes.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was really entertaining and well done. It was 2 hours, and I was telling you guys earlier, it just flew by. I was really entertained the entire time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's always been an interesting festival to me, because I had known about it before this. I didn't know certain things that they brought up, but I knew of it. I knew it was basically a shit show and just mayhem ensued. But this documentary brought reasons why it was a shit show, how it was kind of poorly planned. They had it at an Air Force base.
That was
in like
cool.
100-degree weather
on the black tarmac.
Yeah, and like there was an east stage and a west stage, and they were like a mile apart or something.
Yeah, so you had to walk hella far to get.
And
there
was very little shade. I mean, that just sounds so ugh.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like the heat at all. So not to the point where I'd tear plywood off walls and light fires, but at the same time I can understand. And then again, like $4 for a bottle of water, $10 for a slice of pizza or something. Really outrageous price. I guess the tickets were anywhere from, they started at $150 a ticket, and then scalpers I think were selling them for like $180 or something. That's a lot of I do this sometimes. I look up inflation. So $1999, $150, $180. That's about $250 now.
Damn.
Could you imagine paying $250 for one person to go to a festival?
Damn.
That's obviously a lot of money.
I'm buying the Aftershock tickets in Sacramento right now, and I think I'm paying $800 for 2 tickets.
Okay, never mind.
I feel the pain.
Yeah, never mind then. That's
for 3 days. Yeah.
And watching this one, I might start a riot too if it's a little too hot in Sacramento. No.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, it's just a lot of. I would. Should we talk about what we think went wrong? Like what the main reason was why things went wrong? Do you guys want to share what you think was the main issue of why everything that happened?
Yeah, I'm down.
What do you think
well,
was the main reason that
the movie has like a couple, I don't know if you call them themes or lessons, but well, first of all, it made me nostalgic for the 90s.
Dude, I was gonna
I wish I was there.
Yeah, I was gonna
cool.
ask you because we were alive when this went on.
Yeah,
and I remember things about the night. Not a lot. We were, still very cognitive, but
still little kids.
A lot of nostalgia for sure.
Well, because I listen to like Red Hot Chili Peppers now, but this is like them when they're almost in their prime. At the very end, they're like naked on stage.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Flea was butt naked. That was awesome.
Just playing his bass.
I think what went wrong was the whole capitalism aspect. One of the people were hitting on that, like how you said they would charge $4 for a bottle of water, which in '99 that's outrageous.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't well planned. They didn't have enough bathrooms or available water or.
So that's one of the themes is like hyper-capitalism, because like Woodstock '69, it's all about peace and love and hippies, and it's not very commercialized.
I could be wrong, but Woodstock 1969 was free.
Really?
I believe so. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was a free concert. That was one of its main, whoop-de-doos. Was like free, peace and love, free, this and that. I think. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was free.
Well, and in this documentary, they go over a little bit of the Woodstock '94 as well. And they point out how the fence came down at a certain point because people didn't want to pay the ticket prices. So, they're getting away with it there. But then that's why they chose this Air Force Base, is because it has a nice fenced perimeter.
Right.
And everybody has to come in with a ticket. And it costs an absorbent amount.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you got the high prices. So that was one of the themes, was like hyper-capitalism.
Definitely.
Intruding in on these concerts that should be about the people. But then you also have other themes that I didn't really recognize from the 90s, like they were talking about like Girls Gone Wild and how hypersexualized women were and the struggles that they had at the concert. And then they have like toxic masculinity as one of the themes as well that they cover.
White male rage.
They talk about Columbine, Bill Clinton's impeachment.
There was a lot of stuff going on in 1990. Not like nowadays, but there was Kid Rock made an interesting comment about Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton that was definitely wouldn't fly nowadays.
What do you say? Monica Lewinsky's a whore and Bill Clinton's
a motherfucking pimp. Yeah, it's like, God, Kid Rock, what the fuck are you doing?
That was one of my notes in here. Was it's gross how much Kid Rock grabs his dick.
He comes out wearing a fur coat and a cane.
Dude, that was kind of sick.
Christ.
That was kind of sick. Well, and then another thing you also have to remember in '99 is it's the turn of the century.
Right.
It's gonna be 2000.
Yeah,
you got like Y2K.
Y2K. Yeah.
Nobody knows what's gonna happen next.
Yep.
Little did they know.
I know.
2001.
Yep.
And then you got the 2019 COVID.
Yeah.
2020.
That's another. I think the biggest number I heard for attendance was 400,000 people.
Whoa.
That's insane.
That's a lot of people.
That's another thing too. That I bet like it was just probably like in the crowd, just shoulder to shoulder, just probably incredibly close to people.
Speaking of being shoulder to shoulder, I just watched I saw a picture of Lollapalooza right now. It's like crazy looking at this 99 footage of how crowded they are. Versus this one, it's like sardines on top of each other.
They're doing that.
I know. The Delta variant's coming back too.
Seriously.
Oh man.
Do you know where they're having that?
Lollapalooza?
Isn't it Tennessee? I think it's Tennessee. I'm not sure though.
Jeez.
That's gonna be interesting. What happens there?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, a lot of different themes in this movie that I didn't even think about. But like I think both Sam and you were talking to me like. You used to like see the Girls Gone Wild commercials on TV in the middle of the night. I remember that too.
Yeah, and
falling asleep and then you wake up to them.
And it's
like,
it's just like Cancun spring break. Whoa, all that crap. Yeah.
I haven't seen that in a while.
Oh, me neither. Yeah. I don't have cable anymore. But
yeah, true.
Regardless, I haven't seen that since the mid 2000s. I want to say.
Yeah.
Because, and that's the thing. Girls Gone because it was like a infomercial kind of thing, and I guess you'd call and they'd send you the DVDs or something. And I've never seen one. I just remember the commercials, but I don't know if it was actual pornography or it was just girls taking off their tops.
Yeah.
Like a compilation of just women flashing their tits
going
and
wild.
showing. Yeah, going wild. Yeah,
women
living up to the name. But yeah, that was definitely. So when I think of the problems, I think of, or just not the problem, but like what people were doing that was bad. It was, you know, tearing plywood off the walls, starting fires, and sexual assaults and groping women. And I don't know, some people bring up in the documentary about, they bring up the argument that, you know, oh, if women are going to go around topless, what do you expect? And I've never liked that. I think that's kind of a really kind of cop-out.
That was John Schur, the producer, that said that.
Yes, and it's kind of, I don't know, I've never subscribed to that argument.
Yeah.
Because it's, I don't know, that doesn't give you, just because a chick is walking around with her top off, in my opinion, doesn't give you the right to grope her breasts.
Probably wasn't happening in 69's Woodstock.
I don't know.
Might have been.
It might have been. It just, they had so many cameras. You know, it was a pay-per-view. MTV was there. There was a lot of coverage and everything. It was a big deal. So maybe they just actually caught a lot of it this time. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I would hope it didn't happen at 69, but it very well could have.
Yeah. I hate that argument. Like,
yeah.
It's like, what were you wearing the night you got attacked and stuff? It's like, why don't you hold men accountable for what they're doing? Keep your hands to yourself. Like, there's so many men walking around topless too, but they're not getting groped.
Exactly.
Or sexualized.
It was kind of scary because there'd be like groups of men just sitting there chanting, "Take your top off," or "Show us your tits."
Yeah, when tits. I forget, Rosie Perez. I didn't even know. I've never seen, because I've watched performance. Like, I watched the Rage Against, like, this is years ago. I watched like Rage Against the Machine. I watched some Limp Bizkit stuff because I heard of how awful well, not awful, but how crazy their set got. And I'd never seen the Rosie Perez thing where she goes up on stage and I just take your top off, or whatever they're saying. Show us your tits, show us your tits.
She said, "No, I'm not doing that."
Yeah.
Poor Rosie Perez.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, man. Like 400,000 people chanting to take your top off. Jeez. Or show us your tits.
I don't know if this was in the documentary, and it's really dark, but during the Limp Bizkit set, they were like crowd surfing on the plywood boards.
Was sick.
There was a woman who climbed up on one of them, and then she got to a certain point, and these dudes pulled her down and like gang raped her.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And yeah, people were getting their clothes ripped off. So even if they were clothed, people were like, you know, taking advantage of them, ripping their clothes off and stuff.
And I didn't know about they have like a website for women to go and kind of post what happened to them, and I had no clue that was a thing. That was really dark as well.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
That was really sad.
Like, we all have this shared experience of this show. We don't have a way to contact each other.
Yeah.
So they put that show up, or the page up.
Ugh.
And she said she got like a couple women on there to like communicate and talk about how they were assaulted. But then you're left wondering, like, how many women just didn't report it.
Right.
Because they were like, oh, man, like, it might have been kind of my fault that I just got gang raped by a bunch of dudes because I wasn't wearing anything.
It's such an awful... It's like...
There's probably a lot out there that just don't report.
Guilt. Like, what do they call that? I think they have a name for it.
Survivor's guilt.
Yeah, kind of like that, yeah.
Victim shamed.
Yeah, exactly.
The quote I wrote from John Schur, the producer, he said, "But if you go back into the records of the police and state police stuff, we're not talking about 100 assaults or even 50, we're talking about 10. I'm critical of the hundreds of women that were walking around with no clothes on and expecting not to be touched. They shouldn't have been touched and I condemn it, but you know, I think that women that are running around naked are at least partially to blame for that." And then
I don't like that.
Later on in the documentary, when they're talking about the violence that and like all the destruction that happened, he kind of was just like blasé and like brushed it off like it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
So
he blamed it on Limp Bizkit for inciting a riot.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Which is kind of badass, dude.
Yeah.
They were like, "Settle down, Limp Bizkit, settle down," and he's like, "Nah,
fuck that, break shit."
Because they were huge at the time. A lot of people are like, "Why the hell are you having Limp Bizkit play Woodstock, peace and love, and you're having the guys that sing about breaking stuff and I did it all for the nookie, they're gonna play at Woodstock?" But they were when they played at Woodstock, their album that just came was #1 in the country. They were huge.
Wow.
They're on MTV all the time.
That's right. Yeah.
Like they talk about TRL and everything too, and how it was a weird mishmash of like Limp Bizkit and Korn and Rage Against, and then they'd have Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears on. Really, really weird opposite ends of the spectrum.
I remember that show too.
TRL.
I didn't really watch it, but I remember it playing in the background with Carson Daly.
Yeah. Years ago, I was showing my dad something on YouTube. I think it was Tom Morello was showing his guitar effects on TRL to Carson Daly, and I showed my dad, and the first thing he says is like, "What was this TRL?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "God, that show sucked." And I'm like, "Kind of, yeah." And I've read things where it stood for Total Request Live. They all like, "Oh, this is live. Send in what you want to watch, and we'll play it." And I guess that was total bullshit.
Oh.
They had everything planned out. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, everybody voted for Britney Spears. We're playing," and they were showing Britney Spears just because she's Britney
just playing
Spears.
The hot pop stars.
Yeah, and then be like, "Oh yeah, and now we voted for Korn. We're gonna play Korn," and they planned it.
So it's all programmed.
That's what I've read. That's what I've read, and
crazy.
that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
it totally sounds like just MTV, just catering to the masses.
I want my MTV.
But yeah, a lot of people are like, what the hell? And again, so they had, I don't know about the whole day, but eventually Alanis Morissette went on, then Limp Bizkit went on, then Rage Against the Machine, and then Metallica, which is Limp Bizkit, Rage, and Metallica makes sense, but Alanis Morissette and then Limp Bizkit is a total, what the fuck?
I like
how
that
the
part of
hell
the doc.
how the hell does that? How do you go from Alanis Morissette to Limp Bizkit?
They kept saying, "Isn't it ironic?"
It's too ironic. Yeah.
The lead singer of Limp Bizkit during his set at one point was like, "They brought Alanis Morissette up here to calm you down, but fuck that."
Yeah, we're here to fuck that shit up. Yeah.
And I think that kind of, I mean, not to blame Limp Bizkit or whatever, but that kind of plays into the whole like women, like the women hating or whatever the fuck was going on.
And as we said earlier, they had 3 female artists throughout the whole festival, and a lot of people, I guess, each one was on a like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They all played like Friday was maybe Sheryl Crow, Saturday Alanis Morissette, Sunday Jewel, and they talk about in the documentary how they felt like, oh, they just had it because they felt that they had to have female artists,
like a quota.
Yeah, exactly. Like they had to meet a quota. It's like, okay, let's get one for Friday, one for okay, there we go. Yeah, problem solved. And yeah, it's, I don't know. Again, it is just kind of like when it's like, I would have liked to have been in the planning process and just seeing what people were saying to each other and just being like, yeah, Air Force Base, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Well, it had the infrastructure. It all sounds like a good idea.
I think it was the guitar player for The Offspring had a really funny quote. He was saying that, we've played shows in Germany that were, they were once used for some sort of like housing prisoners during World War II, and he said, yeah, those places were more accommodating than the Air Force Base. It's kind of funny that structures built by the Nazis have more hospitality.
Damn.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
There was one guy, I didn't write his name down, but he made a point about nu metal and how it's like a mishmash between metal and like hip hop and R&B. I don't know, what'd you think about that? Like his take on that.
I think Moby said something here. He thinks they took all the awful things about hip hop and all the awful things about metal and combined them. He said like they took all the misogyny of hip hop and like all the unchecked aggression of metal and just combined it, and it was just a bad combo. And it's interesting because so Kid Rock at the time was rap metal-y, and it's so like looking at Kid Rock now is he's like a country
I don't even
Trump supporter, yeah. Like not what you see at Woodstock, at least to me.
Yeah.
And they had them, Limp Bizkit, and then they had Rage Against the Machine, who are technically rap metal, but to me, Rage Against the Machine are so much like more respectable. They actually sung about political issues, and and it's really kind of the same music. It's very, again, rage. They're very angry, but at the same time, they always seemed more like intellectual, for lack of a better phrase, maybe. You know, instead of just singing about breaking stuff, they're singing about, you know, some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Like, you know, they barely talked about Rage Against the Machine, which kind of bummed me out. They didn't bring up, so they played clips of them playing Killing in the Name, and they're burning the American flag on stage, and they did not say anything about it in the documentary. Did you even notice that?
I didn't. I missed that part.
Yeah, and they didn't say anything.
Yeah.
They left out certain stuff that I wish they had talked about or elaborated a little more in this.
I did like how they talked about grunge and Nirvana, and how it almost had I don't want to say like a calming manner to it, but it wasn't as angry as like new metal.
Yeah.
And then Kurt Cobain commits suicide, and that whole era ends of grunge.
Right.
And then you turn into new metal.
Right.
And everybody's upset and mad at the system and the raising wages or the raising prices. I never really knew how to categorize new metal before until this documentary. Yeah. It's kind of interesting. Gives me a new perspective on that genre.
Definitely. It's kind of a joke now, really.
Like, you think?
I think so, kind of. I think, like, when people bring up Limp Bizkit now, I think it's always usually in a joking manner. You know, kind of like how cringy they were. Like, kind of like just, I've heard people describe them as like frat metal, just like frat boys going up on stage and just, you know, just being kind of jackasses.
Sam's gamer tag is Simp Biscuit.
Oh yeah, Simp Biscuit.
Even their name. Do you get their name? Do you get their what that implies?
A limp penis. Is that what it's supposed to be?
Do you remember Soggy Waffle?
No.
You don't remember
Is that
Soggy?
like Blue
do you remember
Waffle?
Soggy Waffle?
No.
Not really. I don't even know if I should say it. It's really disgusting.
Now I'm curious. What's a Soggy Waffle?
So Soggy Waffle and Limp Bizkit are the same thing, but one's a biscuit and one's a waffle. It's apparently like a circle jerk involving.
Oh.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Involving a biscuit in the middle of the ring?
Or a waffle, and whoever comes on it last has to eat it.
What makes it so limp?
I guess with the cum on it.
Yeah, I mean, imagine the texture of it after all your friends.
It's very crass, and that was their band name. They named their band after that.
You wonder if they did that? Like,
I hope not. They might have. Maybe that's the way they passed their time.
I couldn't believe that Fred Durst didn't want to calm him down. And he just kept on going in.
Well, see, that's another thing, too. Oh, they were the problem. They incited... You know, to my knowledge, they went on tour with Korn and Ice Cube, like, that era. And that didn't happen. You know, there were no... At least to my knowledge, nothing to that level. You know, I don't think they were to blame.
They're just being themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People
if
pay
you don't
to
want
come see
that,
Limp Bizkit.
don't have them play.
Yeah.
That'd be like the highlight show of their career, right? They're like on top
Probably.
of the world, basically.
The singer of Korn thinks that was the best show they ever played.
Oh yeah,
Dude,
he said
yeah.
he passed out after.
Yeah. Because the heat, I'm sure, probably it was probably just exhausting.
Jonathan Davis.
Yeah.
In his, like, kilt.
Yeah,
and
he's
high
wearing
socks.
a kilt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was badass.
Yeah.
He looked like he put his all into that
Yeah.
performance.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That didn't surprise. He looked totally just drained.
Yeah.
At the end.
That would have been a fun one.
Yeah.
Dude, and speaking of fun ones, DMX was in there.
Yeah. His red overalls.
That
He
was
had the whole crowd of white dudes saying
Yeah.
the N-word.
Yeah.
the callback.
Yeah. That was it. That was interesting. So, what'd you guys think of that? The one guy talks about basically that you know it was a predominantly white male crowd. You know, there's a few African Americans there, but predominantly white male, and they're all saying the N-word along with DMX.
And how do you think it makes the few black people in the crowd feel?
Yeah,
that was an interesting part. Well,
Yeah.
but they also, before they were talking about that, they were saying like DMX doing that was like unprecedented. Like that's never been done before.
And again, he was huge at the time as well.
Yeah,
He was very. It was almost kind of just like they just looked at MTV and like the Billboard charts and like, okay, who's popular? Okay, let's get them. At least like rock, hip hop. I mean, obviously they didn't have like Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys, but it was kind of just like who's popular. Okay, let's get them.
yeah. I don't know. That was an interesting point, though.
Yeah.
How does it make them feel?
I mean, I don't know. That's why I kind of wish they had the chance to interview DMX about it before he died and how he felt about it. And looking back on it 20 some odd years later.
Did he like empower that crowd of white people to feel comfortable using that word? Is that the point?
I don't know.
Because if you go to like a rap concert today, don't they do the same thing?
I'm sure they do.
Doing the callback saying the N-word?
Yeah,
or?
you know?
I don't know.
And I never defend white people saying that word ever. I mean, you know, I only say it if I'm quoting like a rap song.
Yeah.
Or, you know, but other than that, I never, because again, that word speaks volumes to a very high level, obviously.
Yeah.
What do you think about that part?
Well, I can't speak on the feelings of a black person.
Yeah, exactly.
Same. Yeah.
But I could imagine, like, you almost feel like your image is erased. Like, these people are using this word willy-nilly. They don't understand what the hell it even means or anything. And then you're like, oh, okay, I'm almost disposable at this point. Like, if you're amongst a bunch of white people like that, I don't know. I mean, obviously I couldn't.
Or would you be into the energy of the crowd because it's a whole callback and response type deal anyway, and you're watching DMX in 1999 at Woodstock perform one of the best performances of his life, and the whole crowd's into it? I mean, were they just making a big muck out of nothing in this documentary, or do people actually have bad feelings about it?
I don't know.
I wish they would have gotten, because they did have attendees in the documentary.
Yeah.
I wish they would have gotten like a black attendee.
Yeah.
To actually comment on that.
And again, I would have liked to have heard what DMX had to say about it.
Yeah.
You know? But unfortunately, that's not the case anymore. But
I can't remember who the artist was, but I remember there was a black artist that had a callback response with people saying the N-word, and that was such a big controversy because everyone was pissed and was like, why are you allowing white people to say this?
Yeah.
That was a couple years ago. I can't remember who it was, but I remember that being a controversy.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Do you guys like DMX? Yeah.
It's fun.
I would have so
all the barking hypes me
yeah.
the fuck up.
No, what?
Yeah.
What? What?
Gets you pumped if you're playing like a shooter or something.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I always have. I was really bummed the day he died.
I know.
I played his music a lot. I listened to him occasionally. I listened to him more when I was younger, but he's when I think of late '90s rap, I'm not a big fan. Like, and it's funny. Puff Daddy he didn't perform, but he was there hanging out. Mm-hmm. He's wearing a Sacramento Kings jersey, which I thought was pretty cool. Sick. We record here in Sacramento, so good for Puff Daddy representing Sacramento. But I'm not a big Puff Daddy. It was, to me, late '90s rap that's when, like, you know, the materialism got really big, like, you know, like your Rolexes, you know, and your fancy clothes, your chains. That's when it got really, well, actually, that's because Run DMC and Beastie Boys would wear chains and stuff. But it was more, I think, in my opinion, it got a little more braggadocious in the 90s, and it always kind of was, but just more materialistic, commercialized, kind of like this festival. Mm-hmm. But DMX, to me, was always more kind of badass for like so his album that came out before this festival, it was a second album. He put 2 albums out in '98, and they both did really well, and it's called Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood. And the album cover, it's just a white background. He's just covered in blood. He's just covered in blood. And nowadays that'd be like, oh, okay, but back then, seeing a rapper covered in blood like that must have been really like, what the fuck? Yeah. Like, he has a song on that album with Marilyn Manson.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. Huh. You know, like,
I gotta look that one up.
Yeah. Like, to me, he was always more just, again, a little more interesting, I guess, you know, instead of just Puff Daddy just walking around doing goofy dances, you know, he's just, again, covered in blood on his album cover and doing songs with Marilyn Manson. And yeah, to me, DMX was definitely a standout of late 90s rap.
Yeah.
I would have gone to see him if I went to Woodstock. It would have definitely been on my checklist. Like, okay, DMX, good song.
That would have been a good show.
And it was kind of cool. They had the Roots too.
I don't know the Roots.
Do you know the Roots?
Wait, where were the Roots?
The Roots, they played at Woodstock.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that part. So
Jimmy Fallon, I think, has a few of their members play as like his band on his show.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And they're kind of and it's interesting because they actually play instruments, but they're still a rap group, which I always thought was cool. It would have been really cool to see them.
Yeah.
There was honestly, like, there are a lot of bands that have been like, it would have been cool to see them.
Yeah, hell yeah, that was a pretty cool lineup.
Even Limp Biscuit, hopefully, without the sexual assaults and tearing plywood off the wall.
Yeah.
I would have surfed the plywood.
Yeah, Fred Durst even surfed on the plywood.
Yeah.
I don't know if they showed it or not, but he actually did.
Yeah,
he went and got on it. Which, say what you will about Fred Durst, but like, I don't know. It seemed like he was having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was having the time of his life out there.
I love when they had the Red Hot Chili Peppers set, and they're like, "You gotta calm this crowd down so we can get to that fire," and they started singing "Fire."
Yeah, yeah, and they didn't even really mention that in the documentary. What do you guys think about that?
I don't know.
Don't you think? I kind of thought that would have hyped up the crowd even more to start more fires. You're like, hell
that's what
yeah.
I would have figured in the doc. They would have been like, yeah, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers being so irresponsible, playing Fire when the fires were breaking out, and this and that. I'm surprised they didn't say anything. Like, Limp Bizkit are the bad guys, but we'll give Red Hot Chili Peppers a pass.
Yeah.
Which actually, I've read up on it, and Anthony Kiedis, the singer, claims that they played it because Jimi Hendrix's sister asked them to play it.
Whoa.
Which, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what he claims. And
probably just an excuse.
It could be, I don't know. Who knows? I like Anthony Kiedis says something when I think that's when they go, because I think that was their encore. They went back on stage, and Anthony Kiedis says something like, yeah, it looks like Apocalypse Now out there or something. He says something like that. It was kind of funny in a dark way.
I like that a lot of the bands were making references to Woodstock 69, and they were pointing out how it was all lost on the crowd.
Yeah.
They were trying to shoehorn in that nostalgia.
Yeah. Like Wyclef Jean plays the Star Spangled Banner on guitar, and
yeah. Who was setting the guitar on fire?
That was Wyclef Jean. Yeah, afterwards. Yeah.
They were trying and trying
yeah,
and trying.
Yeah,
he's like blowing on it.
People are throwing water bottles while they're trying to do it too. It's like, geez Louise. God.
Oh my God! All the water bottles that were thrown too.
Yeah.
They
showed the singer of the Offspring got hit in the face. He just got hit right in the face while they were playing. It's like, oh man.
That
had to have hurt.
I was at one of My Chemical Romance's last tours, and that happened to Gerard Way right in front of me. Somebody like a couple people down, I saw him throw a water bottle right at Gerard Way's face. It was the saddest thing ever.
Speaking of
so disrespectful.
Throwing stuff, did you guys look up Woodstock 94 at all?
Mm-mm. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I wish they talked about it a little more, because they showed a little bit of it. So there was a lot of mud, and they started throwing it at bands. Like that Woodstock 94 had a really good lineup too. They had like Green Day, and I think Metallica and Red Hot Chili Peppers played there too.
I think they had Bob Dylan and some of the old 69ers.
Yeah, they showed pictures of Bob Dylan playing at 94.
Yeah.
And
that would have been a fun one.
So, do you guys listen to Primus?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, My Name is Mud. So when they started playing My Name is Mud, obviously they started throwing mud at them, and the singer had to stop and be like, the song's called My Name is Mud. You don't actually have to throw mud at us, or something like that. And 9 Inch Nails went on, and they were already, I guess they went on, they were already covered in mud, like preemptively, so it didn't matter if people threw mud at them or not. And Green Day stopped their set and started throwing mud back at the crowd.
Oh my God.
You should, everyone, like, if you're bored, go watch their set. It's pretty entertaining.
That's because it was like storming that whole weekend.
Yeah, it rained.
So it was hella muddy.
Yeah, but there were no fires. There were apparently no sexual assaults that people reported.
Yeah.
And that one, so 69 and 94 were held at farms.
Oh.
Which, to me, I think is a much better venue than a hot tarmac Air Force base.
Yeah.
With stages a mile apart from each other. Because, yeah, really, and they showed Woodstock 94, and it just looked like a fun time. Like, again, just really, aside from the mud, it sounded like it went pretty well for the most part. There's this band called Blind Melon. Do you guys know who they are?
Yeah.
So, their singer was, apparently, he was in a dress and had makeup on, and apparently he was tripping on acid.
Oh God.
And at one point in their performance, and it's funny because this sounds more like 99, he goes, so they're saying on the news and the radio that you people have distorted behavior, and then the crowd gets up, yeah, and he goes, well, for $135 a ticket, I say you can distort whatever it is you want to distort, and then gets a big reaction as well. And I think really the only distorted behavior for that was just throwing mud.
Yeah.
You know, just rolling around in mud and throwing it.
No harm in that.
It sounds a lot better. I mean, mud's gross, but at the same time, it sounds a lot better than tearing plywood off and sexual assaults. But
throwing actual shit.
yeah, oh my, that's so gross. Like, yeah, the porta potties and people just like bathing in the places where you're supposed to drink water or whatever.
Yeah,
that was really gross.
Those looked like horse troughs.
Yeah,
it was
like,
crazy.
Ugh, so disgusting.
There was a scene where it's like a couple lines of porta potties and there's just big dudes in there playing in the muddy shit.
Yeah,
like, tossing it on themselves.
Disgusting. So disgusting.
They thought it was like mud, like the '94 concert,
yeah,
I guess.
It's like little did they know. Ugh.
I loved all the shots of like people smiling and their face is just
covered in shit.
Yeah.
It's so gross.
When we were watching it, Sam like actually gagged. She went,
yeah.
Yeah,
it's disgusting.
I went and got some food and I started eating. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, so you have '94 Woodstock, '69 Woodstock, but what this brought to mind was, you ever hear of the Altamont Speedway Free Festival?
Didn't we bring that up? Because I forgot to bring. This is totally out top. I forgot to bring "Gimme Shelter." I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, that's like
that ended
the 60s.
69.
That's like the '60s version of Woodstock '99. It sounds like.
Well,
and Michael Lang had he helped with Altamont as well.
No way.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, I don't know how much of his hands he had on it, but he was involved.
Damn. This one happened December of 1969, and it
odd time to have an outside concert.
Yeah, middle of winter.
Yeah.
It actually brought the 60s to a sad close. This and the Manson murders.
The Manson murders, yeah.
But the Altamont Speedway concert, Hell's Angels were running security, and they ended up
fucking stupid idea.
Getting into a big brawl.
They paid him in beer. They didn't give him money. They just gave him beer.
They, I think there was like a stabbing at the concert right in front of the Rolling Stones when they were performing.
And apparently the guy had a gun.
Yeah, so he stabbed him.
But at the same time, there's better ways than to stab and kill the guy. Maybe just try to take the gun away and arrest him instead of stabbing him.
Yeah, Hell's Angels for security. That's what you get.
What a shitty idea.
Which, speaking
what
of
did
security,
they think was gonna happen? Like, God, come on.
Yeah, they talked about security in '99 too. Woodstock.
Yeah, how it's like pretty much a joke. Like
you took like a day of training
some bullshit
or something.
class or something.
3-hour
bullshit seminar where like they kind of gave the answers to the tests at the end or something.
Yeah.
And then when they finally showed up for work, they mainly just took their jackets off and took their passes and just joined the crowd.
Yep.
Partied.
400,000 people. You could probably blend in pretty well.
It's kind of sad. One guy, they were like, someone had a video camera and they're talking to one of the security guys. It's like, yeah, man, did you get some pussy? Because you got that badge showing that you're working. He's like, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I did. Yeah.
He had a big shit-eating grin.
Hopefully you weren't one of those sexual assaulters.
For real.
Yeah.
And then there was nobody to control the crowd when it all broke down and the riot started breaking out at the end.
Yep.
Well, I guess the commanders even, like, told the guards, like, take off your jackets and turn them inside out. Because if this crowd turns on us, we're done.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Must have been crazy.
And, they're having press conferences and people are, kind of putting them on blast, like, and they're just mainly John Schur, just very defensive and just, I think that's bullshit. How about you help out and not criticizing does not help. Your help helps or something like that. And it's like, dude, you just look like a whiny douche.
Yeah.
Like just no accountability.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, it's the people's fault, not our fault. It's like, I don't know about that, man.
He was telling that one guy, there was somebody in that press conference, he said, come on, man, I got a group of guys, we could take way better care of this place and actually pick up all the trash and everything. And then he said, okay, I'll pay you $100 an hour, I'll pay you $1,000 an hour, you get out there right now.
It's like, there's people working around the clock dealing with this. Okay, your criticism does not help. It does not help clean up the trash and this and that. It's like, Jesus.
Crazy. Man. You can tell it's falling apart. Well, that's what I like about the beginning. The very first shot of this documentary is interviewing Michael Lang, the creator of Woodstock '69, and he's on his motorcycle.
Yeah. And he just seems so like he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like, what? Yeah. Are you gonna do one again? I don't know. It depends how this one goes.
The interview said,
it's very just like, all right, I'm gonna get the hell out of here.
The interviewer said, "Do you even think at all?"
I think Michael Lang seemed like a much cooler guy than John Scher to me.
Oh, definitely.
He seemed much more just laid back and just kind of actually cared about putting on a good festival.
Yeah.
At least it seemed like it, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He wasn't trying to defend like everybody's actions when they're grabbing titties at the concert or anything.
Exactly.
Saying they deserved it.
Yeah. Yeah, they showed which I thought was really cool, the singer of The Offspring. It's like, hey, I'm seeing a lot of people groping the girls, and it's not cool to molest a chick, So if you see a girl, just leave her alone. But girls, if you gotta grab his fucking balls or something.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That was cool. And then they flash forward to him in modern days, and it's a totally different human being.
Yeah, oh my God.
Sam let out a wait, what?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
They aged.
I've actually, because that was another thing too. I've seen them, I think twice.
Oh, that's cool.
And they did really good shows, and they're obviously older now.
Yeah.
Offspring, I like them. To me, they're almost kind of in the same line as like Green Day and Blink-182, but kind of not. A little more punky, less poppy a little. But they still were they kind of turned into like a radio rock band at a point. But they put on great shows, really great shows, and thankfully I don't remember the singer having to call attention to women getting groped at the shows I went to, which was cool.
For real.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty, not to my knowledge, I don't know if anybody else said that.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
And then they go into Self-Esteem, about a song about a guy getting used by a girl and having no self-esteem. It's like, that's pretty fitting.
As he was saying that quote, he's like, I notice a lot of women getting groped, and you can hear some meatheads going, woo!
Jeez.
Fucking leave them alone, and the crowd gets louder.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the whole, like, media saying white male rage and, like, just all of that? Everything that goes into that.
That's what was surprising about this documentary to me, was right off the bat they're pointing out, they were specifically saying white men were the whole problem. There were so many white men at this place.
Yeah.
Like, the journalists who the documentarians were interviewing, they're like, oh yeah, a lot of white male rage, a lot of white male this, a lot of white male that.
I think
one of
them said, like, yeah, I remember a lot of young white men with backwards baseball caps walking around.
Yeah. Because they were the ones who could afford the tickets.
I'm sure.
I guess.
Probably privileged, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I cut you off.
No, you're good. They were trying to relate it to modern times, too, I feel like, in a way. That's probably why they were bringing up all the white male stuff.
That's probably why they brought up Columbine, too.
Yeah. Yeah, we do have a lot of shootings nowadays.
Yeah. Sounds kind of awful, but Columbine, I think, was the one that really put school shootings on the map, because it happened in a pretty affluent area in Colorado. And
that is like the first big
upper
crazy
middle
one.
class kind of, and it changed a lot of things. A lot of movies had to get changed because of it. TV shows had to postpone episodes because there might have been guns in it or something, and
gun legislation was changed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Michael Moore's documentary,
Bowling
for Columbine. Still one of my favorite documentaries.
Yeah, me too.
The best.
I know a lot of people say what you will about Michael Moore, but I've always thought it was a pretty good documentary.
Yeah.
But I don't know. As a white male, I don't know, because I would like to think if I had been there, I wouldn't have, obviously engaged in sexual assaults or even torn plywood off the audio towers or whatever those things were. But at the same time, even some people say it's like, when in Rome.
Yeah.
I think one of the dudes at least said that, like one of the attendees that was there that they were interviewing says just like, like, fuck it, like, why not?
Yeah, I think it's the same attendee that says this place was marketed for me, like everyone here looks like me, this was for me. Like,
yeah.
I think one guy even says like I kind of looked like Fred Durst at the time.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? Like, because really Fred Durst kind of definitely encapsulates like the whole kind of frat guy, just, you know, it doesn't even need to be said. You just look at him, again, backwards baseball cap, just walking around, give me something to break.
Yeah.
Just...
It's just one of those days.
Yeah. Yeah. And... I don't know. It doesn't offend me that they were kind of calling out, because unfortunately it seems like the perpetrators were predominantly white males.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I don't put the blame on them. Well, there is blame to be had for sure for their actions, but at the same time, would I say that was the main issue because they were white males? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Well, but then you think like the market caters to them.
Yeah.
The media caters to them.
Because looking at Woodstock 94, it looked like there was a lot of white males as well.
Yeah.
And again, just kind of mud being thrown. I don't know. Really, I think it was the heat, the poor planning, the commercialization of it, and the lack of accountability on I think those were really what made it so bad, and just kind of lackadaisical effort to kind of try to fix the situation while it was going on. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have any more insight on the white male thing?
I think that's pretty much what the whole story was trying to say, is all of those different themes combined to make one.
It's very topical right now.
Yeah, definitely.
In this day and age.
I think it helped me understand the school shootings that we're experiencing now a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, prices are too damn high.
Yeah.
It makes people crazy. It makes people upset. It's getting too damn hot. We got global warming happening.
Yeah.
Do I totally agree with, like, is it only white males? I mean, there could have been minorities in the crowd committing crimes too. We don't know.
Yeah.
Although whenever you bring up crime today, like during the Black Lives Matter movement, and you say, oh yeah, black people are suffering disproportionately to police, people would say, nope, FBI statistics actually say that more white males are being shot up. So, I guess you could say that there's a problem with white males, and maybe it is good to actually start talking about it.
Yeah.
That, like,
I'm
how
sure they weren't talking about it at the time.
No. And I never thought about it.
Yeah.
I never thought about it.
Yeah.
That's why I like this documentary, because it gave me something new to think about, a different perspective.
That whole FBI statistic thing, though, it's like black people only make up 5% of the population.
Oh, yeah, you got to run some numbers.
You got to look at the whole scope of everything.
Yeah. But
it's easy to make that claim.
Yeah, those are some of the arguments that you'll hear nowadays. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that this gets pretty political, really.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I like the journalists who were on it. They had a lady on there. Wesley Morris, he was really interesting.
Yeah.
He's a New York Times journalist.
Right.
He had some interesting perspectives.
Yeah. He's the one who talked about DMX, I think, if I remember correctly.
And nu metal.
Yeah, nu metal. Yeah. Oh boy, good old nu metal.
I never really reflected on the 90s, even though we're pretty much alive. I mean, we were little
very
kids,
young,
but born in 94.
It is interesting how they do bring, like, it's interesting how, like you were saying, Nirvana and like Pearl Jam and grunge were like so big in the early 90s, and then the late 90s it's like Limp Bizkit and Korn and Kid Rock. Yeah, it's just it's crazy to think that was the same decade that, and again, like, boy bands I don't think were that big of a thing in the early 90s, or people like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera.
Was that the 94 one or the 99 where they were showing the footage of them bringing up the Backstreet Boys?
99. That was the Offspring. He goes and beats them up.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
It was like some blow-up dolls or something.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah. Yeah, it was very... Because, again, MTV would, okay, here's the Offspring's latest video. Okay, now we're going back to Backstreet Boys. It's just, it's such a odd mishmash.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, that's what people were buying those records or CDs.
Fun. It was a fun era.
Yeah.
It's interesting how the beginning of this documentary makes you feel so nostalgic for the 90s, and
definitely.
then they immediately go into all the problems, and
Yep.
and you're like, oh, actually, no, I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
That's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, because you look at this lineup, and you're like, man, that was probably a hell of a show, and then you realize, oh, it was hot as hell, it was expensive, and there were riots. Maybe I shouldn't want to actually be there.
Yeah.
At the very end of this documentary, too, they actually relate everything to modern concerts. I think they even bring up Coachella.
I thought that was kind of... To me, that almost felt like an ad for Coachella. They were just like, oh, Coachella does this and that. And this is like, are you trying to just get people to go to Coachella or something? That's how it felt to me.
Well, it was a direct response to Woodstock 99, though.
Yeah, right.
Because of how messed up 99 was, they were like, we need an alternative festival.
One thing that I wish they talk about the Beastie Boys a little bit. They show a clip of one of the members talking about like women's rights or something, and a month after Woodstock 99, they had like the music video awards for at MTV, and the Beastie Boys won an award, and one of the members, when they went up and talked about Woodstock 99 and all the sexual assaults and everything. He was saying, I think, with being in a room filled with musicians, we could maybe, agree to maybe get better security at our shows so this stuff doesn't happen. And they kind of bring up how the Beastie Boys really evolved as because they started out like girls, all I really want is girl, and then they're and then they're saying stuff like that, calling out for women's rights and everything. That's pretty cool. Like and it makes sense, because when they start out, they're like early 20s. When you get older, you're not going to keep singing about fight for your right to party. You're gonna progress. I don't even think I've read that they haven't even played that since the 80s live.
Oh wow!
Like they're kind of ashamed of it in a way, which I like. I like all Beastie Boys. I like that stuff. I like their more kind of mature stuff as well. But yeah, I kind of wish they played that little speech that I think it was Ad Rock of the Beastie Boys said. I thought that would have been a little nice touch, personally.
I think this documentary pairs really nicely with the Britney Spears documentary that came out.
I still need to watch that.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
They talk about...
she was growing up in the 90s.
Yeah, she was
Rising.
big. She was 16 years old, and she was hypersexualized,
So
like,
weird.
big time. And
Baby One More Time and all that.
And, like, talking about how there's, like, this new metal and whatever, that lineup for Woodstock 99. But then you also have, like, NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys, where Justin Timberlake came out and said, like, Britney Spears is a whore, like, just totally trashed her just to get drama and attention to the bands and whatever. But it all goes together. Like, they tried to blame, like, new metal and all that stuff for all the violence and rage, but it's also the mainstream pop stars, too.
Yeah.
That are feeding into all that.
Yeah.
Sex sells.
Exactly.
That's why they were doing a lot of it, I guess.
I think that's why also a lot of people filming for the pay-per-view were specifically focusing on women's breasts, because again, sex sells.
That was interesting that they pointed that out.
Yeah, one guy, I forget who it was, but one guy's like, okay, I think you've had enough of filming of the women's breasts or something like that.
Oh yeah, they said that the guys on the camera were just always focused on the boobs.
Yeah.
Well, actually I was reading a little article, the New Yorker, by Amanda Petrusic. Sorry. She was actually pointing that out, that this documentary makes a big point of women being, like, abused, and how that's happening with the cameras. They're focusing only on the breasts and everything. So why are they doing the same exact thing and showing all these boobies on this documentary instead of blurring the women's faces or blurring their tops or something? They're pretty much double exposing the women again.
That's an interesting point.
They're just using the same tactic.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Sex sells.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
I mean, I don't know. Would you prefer it if it was blurred? I don't know.
Would I prefer... I don't know.
Is there something to be said there?
I never...
Or is that just
but I will say
point?
this. Whenever they showed chicks walking around, I was never like, oh yeah, like nice.
Yeah, exactly.
To me, it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Have you guys, like, again, like Warped Tour, like, I've seen that in person. That's still good. Like, that's still, thankfully, I didn't see groping, thankfully, but I saw chicks walking around topless.
Yeah.
You know, and
I've been to a few concerts.
And again, I never felt like, oh yeah. I mean, you know,
that's for me to touch.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? If chicks wanted to do that, be my guest. Yeah. It's your body. If you want to walk around topless, more power to you.
Rad, dude.
I'm not gonna be like some, you know, 50s businessman. Like, oh, how dare you? How dare you? You're a woman. Put your clothes back on. Like, do whatever the fuck you want. Yeah. You know. If you have, you know, if your boyfriend thinks otherwise, that's between you and your boyfriend. But for me, I don't care. But yeah, I never was like, ooh, yeah, nice tits. It's just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if that's just me, but I was never like turned on, for lack of a better phrase.
It's a documentary.
Yeah.
They were trying to make a point about the hypersexualization.
Very true.
I don't know. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah.
Should they have showed all those boobies?
I mean, I don't...
Yeah, make their point.
It didn't bother me, but then it's also like, do those women know that their boobs are being shown on this documentary?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like 20 years older now.
Yeah.
They're like, oh,
they
man.
have like, you know, kids and a family, who knows?
Their friend from high school is like, I saw you on this documentary, and it's a still of her or whatever.
Yeah.
But now they live in history. That's kind of cool. Like the Woodstock 69 people, I'm pretty sure they were exposing themselves too, and I'm sure I've seen a couple pictures of the women there.
Everyone's got nipples. Like, I don't get why it's such a big deal.
It's just anatomy.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even that big of a deal.
Why do we still have to be so shy about it and beat around the bush and like act like our bodies are disgusting?
I don't know. Self-image issues. I don't know.
Yeah.
No idea.
What else should we talk about?
What do we miss? God damn it.
The fires were crazy. The showers.
Yeah. Well, I don't think. Should we talk about why there were candles given out?
Ooh. Yeah. Did we talk about that?
Well, I don't think we were recording when we talked about it.
Let's talk about it.
So I didn't know this. I just knew that they handed out candles and they lit shit on fire. But apparently, it was a anti-gun organization that was there to, you know, kind of bring awareness to gun control, and it was apparently for the victims of Columbine, which is incredibly ironic that people gave out candles to honor the victims of Columbine. They used it to light towers on fire.
Mm-hmm.
They preview that tent in the beginning a little bit, and then it doesn't come back till the very end when they're setting everything on fire.
And I knew where that was going. I was like, oh god, that's why they gave out candles. Jesus Christ,
that's good filmmaking right there. Foreshadowing it.
Jeez, yeah,
I really like that.
Kind of embarrassing.
Part. Yeah.
Imagine you're that group, like how disappointed you must have felt. Like,
oh yeah,
they've had all these candles and they just use them to light shit on fire. Like,
you think it's gonna be this beautiful,
little
heart-touching thing.
Yeah, and then they just use it to torch shit.
Damn.
In the movie, they, I like the transition they did for the 1969 Woodstock. They had people holding candles and they had a picture of it, and then it slowly, like, transitioned to the 1999 candles, and then it shows everything getting burned down.
Yep. Yeah.
I think they held the vigil during Red Hot Chili Peppers Under the Bridge.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And that's when they started setting everything on fire, was during the Chili Peppers.
Yep.
That'd be pretty scary, though, if you're in the crowd, 400,000 people, and then there's a big old fire starting.
Yeah.
They said, I think that some people, like, panicked and were trampling people, right?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of that.
So.
Trying
to escape it.
Yeah.
They followed that one guy who was journaling the whole time, David.
Yeah, he was interesting.
Was that the guy who worked for Oh no, that guy. That was sad. I didn't know anything about the guy who died.
Yeah.
That was sad. They thought he was like overdosing on drugs, and he
was having seizures.
He had
hypothermia.
And another guy said he had hypothermia too, which is strange because it was, I don't know.
I didn't know that you could overheat and get hypothermia.
Exactly.
It's hyperthermia.
Hyper?
And that means you're overheated, and hypo means you're freezing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
I had to look that up.
Yeah, I was like, how do you get hypothermia in 100-degree weather? So that makes a lot more sense.
It was crazy because it was during Metallica set, and they didn't have temperature, like core temperatures in the whatever medic units. his body temperature was 107.
Yeah, that's scary.
Which you have to go to the ER and get seen immediately if you're over 103. So he was like well beyond, like already probably having brain damage. He was in a coma and he died like the Monday after the festival.
I think they gave him the paddles, right? Because they thought it was a heart attack from an overdose.
Made it worse.
Holy shit.
Getting shock to your heart while you're overheating, that's crazy.
And again, not to vilify the promoters, but maybe poor planning in the medical field, perhaps.
They said it was like a war hospital when they went into the tents.
Jeez.
That's crazy.
Yeah, people were like just dehydrated left and right, passing out.
The EMT they interviewed, he brought up a good point where like beer was as much as water. Or cheaper, or was beer cheaper or something?
Something like that.
And it's like the kids obviously are going to choose beer.
Yep. And then you get dehydrated
it's cheaper,
further.
and it's going to dehydrate you even more.
Which those prices just keep going up too. I think I went to a concert before the pandemic and it was like $12 for a can of beer.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Why get the water?
Yeah.
You could just get the beer.
I remember at Warped Tour they were giving out free Monsters because I think Monster sponsored
I remember that, yeah.
I think Aftershock does something similar, right?
I'm sure.
Gives out Monster or something.
Rockstars, I don't know.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to do, just as a little fun thing, was go through the set lists and we could all say like who we wanted to see if we were there and nothing bad happened. Do you want to do that? Do you want me to read the set list?
Yeah, who was there?
I wrote down some of my favorite bands.
Here, go for it, Sam.
Oh, just Korn, Rage Against the Machine, Red Hot Chili Peppers, The Offspring, for sure. That would have been fun. I don't know all of everyone that was there, but...
There are a lot of... Insane Clown Posse were there.
Oh, I wanted to say that.
Yeah.
I wish... Because Insane Clown Posse for the longest time was painted as this super violent, like, gang... People who are juggalos and juggalettes are part of this gang. They barely even touched on them.
I know.
I thought they'd talk about them way more for such a violent group.
Maybe I guess their set went okay, apparently. They didn't bring it up, so I would imagine their set went okay.
They're talking about hacking people up. That wasn't brought up at all.
And again, it kind of fits in with like the Kid Rocks and the Limp Biscuits and the Korns and even kind of the Rage Against, just kind of like angry white guys kind of mimicking like hip-hop culture.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. I'm surprised Eminem wasn't there.
That would
because that's right when Eminem was getting really big.
And
he would have fit in incredibly, in my opinion, with Limp Bizkit and Kid Rock.
Oh yeah.
They should have bumped Alanis Morissette earlier that day and got Eminem. Eminem, Limp Bizkit, Rage Against the Machine, Metallica.
That'd be a crazy set.
Get all, it's like the white males galore right there.
White male rage.
Yeah. They talked about James Brown. James Brown looked like he had a really good set.
I can't believe James Brown was there.
Yeah.
That's sick.
I maybe might have seen Sheryl. It was Sheryl Crow, and then DMX went on after Sheryl Crow.
Nice.
And then The Offspring, and then Korn, and then Bush. I would have actually live. They showed live play a song. It was live Sheryl Crow, DMX, The Offspring, Korn, and Bush on Friday at the East Stage. I probably would have seen all of them, to be honest with you.
Who's Bush?
Bush, they did Glycerine. Oh. Glycerine. They have other songs. They're kind of grungy.
Yeah.
Kind of just like a kind of typical 90s grunge band.
Kind of like Pearl Jam-ish.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like Nirvana-y in a way.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else? They had like a rave tent.
Oh, that was weird.
Again, 90s, raves.
Was this one open 24 hours
I think so.
I think 94 might have been open.
That must have been exhausting.
Yeah. Well, there was that one part where one of the artists was driving into the back lot, and he said, "This is how you know, like, if you really matter, if you're written up on the board." Oh. And then they were looking at this board of all the names of the bands, and he was like, "I don't recognize any of these." Was that 94? Was that 99?
That was 99. Moby's talking about that.
Yeah.
They're like, "Who's Buckcherry? Who's Spitfire? This and that."
Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't like the classic Woodstock 69.
No. And then, so Saturday at the West Stage, the two, Everclear and Ice Cube.
Nice.
That would have been cool to see. And then on the East Stage, you got Kid Rock, and then Wyclef Jean went afterwards. Then you got Counting Crows and Dave Matthews Band. I would have skipped down on those personally.
Dave Matthews, though?
He said there's like, there's a lot of titties out here or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, well, the guy who died from hyperthermia He said in his notes, Dave Matthews. What else do I have to say?
Yeah, so, I don't know if that was a...
Was that a good...
Yeah, couldn't tell.
I like Dave Matthews. He's
I'm not a big Dave Matthews fan.
I like Gravedigger. Gravedigger.
I just know Crash.
Oh, yeah.
And that's about it. I don't know. The like, I don't know, like, jam band, like, that's just never really been my thing.
Yeah.
Then after Dave Matthews Band, that's when Alanis Morissette went on. So that's when Alanis Morissette, Limp Bizkit, Rage, Metallica. I would have seen all of them. I would have loved to have been in the Alanis Limp Bizkit transition. That would have just must have been. Mini Me introduces Limp Bizkit.
I couldn't believe
that is the most my buddy texted, he's like, dude, I can't believe Mini Me. I'm like, that's like the most 1999 thing, because Austin Powers was huge, I'm sure, at the time. Yeah. It's like the most 1999 thing that could have possibly happened.
That's so badass.
Like, Jesus Christ. And it's, dude, they were probably, like, you can see, like, Puff Daddy hanging out on the side of the stage watching their set. Like, they were a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
A really big deal.
So cool.
It's crazy. And, yeah, then after Rage Against the Machine, and then Metallica. And then they had, like, an emerging artist stage, and I don't know any of these people. I guess they didn't go anywhere.
Oh.
Unfortunately. Godsmack and Megadeth were on the West stage on Sunday. Willie Nelson played on the East stage on Sunday.
Oh.
Jewel on the East stage. Creed.
Dude,
you guys have gone and seen Creed?
There.
That was kind of sad when, like, yeah, we got Robbie Krieger from The Doors, and people were like, nobody fucking cared.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so sad.
Another reference.
Yeah, it's like, well, The Doors didn't play at Woodstock, but I think they're like, oh, we got someone from that era to play with us. And again, people are just like, we don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Like, play, play fucking should have been dead on a Sunday, just play your Creed stuff, Yeah. And then after Creed, Red Hot Chili Peppers went on, and that's when the shit hit the fan.
Who was the closing band?
It was Red Hot Chili Peppers and Megadeth, I think, at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Crazy.
Yeah. Quite the set list.
Yeah.
Or not set artist lineup. And again, only 3 female artists. It's cool that they had DMX and Ice Cube.
Yeah.
And the Roots. When did the Roots play?
All at a military base. Kind of cool. Too bad it didn't turn out as well.
Yeah, the Roots played before Insane Clown Posse. Wow. Jeez Louise.
So you have the fire starting, and then you get to the riots where they're pretty much breaking into all of the food trucks and stealing all the frozen pretzels and all the water. Somebody said they drank more water during the riot than that whole weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is,
and again, how ironic.
Sad, yeah. And then it leads into talking about Coachella and how it's a direct response to the violence that 99 had. And they point out, I like how you're talking about like Puff Daddy and everybody hanging out on the side. They pointed that out about Coachella, how it's almost like a class system now.
Yeah.
in the big festivals.
My brother was gonna go to the one they were planning for 2020, and obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I was kind of making like, you're gonna go hang out with the Kardashians and the all the big celebrities at Coachella.
Yeah, like if you're rich enough, you can go get the VIP tickets that cost like a couple $100 more bucks to actually have a good time.
Yeah.
Everybody else has to sit down low in the heat or whatever and pay those crazy prices.
Exactly.
And then, well, they were also talking about how Coachella now, it's experiencing the same thing as Woodstock 99, where you start off in 69 with good intentions and low prices and everything, and then it just boosts up.
Yeah.
Samantha and I went to the Bottle Rock Festival in Napa in 2014.
Oh, wow.
They were okay prices. It was kind of high, but this was like the first time. It was like the first time they were kind of like trying to get big.
That's cool.
And nowadays, though, the Bottle Rock Festival, those prices are crazy high.
Really?
Now. Yeah. It just seems to be a pattern.
Yeah.
They start low to get you pulled in and then jack up those prices later on, and then who can afford to go?
It's almost like a band in a way. They start out from humble beginnings and then they kind of sell out.
Yeah.
Kind of like, it's the best analogy I can kind of give.
Yeah. Interesting patterns.
I remember Warped Tour was a little pricey.
Yeah.
Warped Tour was great. They had skateboarding. What else did they? I still have video of it on my phone. It was a great time. Like we had a blast at Warped Tour. What else did they had a bunch of stuff. They had like booths set up where you could go and play like guitars and basses.
Whoa,
and everything.
Cool.
Like it was really cool. They had it at the in Mountain View at their big like shoreline
amphitheater.
Yeah.
Oh, we went there one time.
Yeah, it's a big venue for a lot of music acts.
We went there for Flatbush Zombies.
Oh, and nice.
Before the concert even started, there was a group of guys stumbling in, and one of the dudes was like about to pass out. He was like doing the whole wobbly thing.
His friends are carrying him around.
Oh yeah,
they were carrying him.
That's hilarious.
They sat down next to us and they were like, "Let us just chill here and pretend like we're friends and we're all cool." And we're like, "All right."
That's funny.
Security came and had to scoop him out.
Jeez, man, that's funny.
That was a fun venue, Shoreline.
Yeah, it was cool. And again, comparing my experiences there to this, it's just like, man, ugh, how gross.
Yeah. What do you think made Warped Tour contained and not go crazy compared to Woodstock?
I don't remember how many people were there, but it definitely wasn't 400,000 people.
That would make a difference.
Do you think it has to do with the fact that we all have cell phones now and can record each other?
That's one thing I think they brought up, right? Yeah. It's like if you lose someone, it's like, well, shit, you got to find them on your own. There's no like texting them like, hey, where are you?
They had like a tent set up where you could put your info up on the cork board. Yeah. Please help me find Jacob or whatever. That's crazy.
I'm sure that plays a factor. I don't know. I don't remember it being too hot. It was a little warm because it was in July. It was warm, but I remember getting water wasn't an issue. Yeah. I don't remember people being pissed off at all. I don't know. That venue is really well set up in my opinion. It's, again, not an Air Force base.
There's grass.
Exactly. There's a lot of grass. There was areas to sit down in the shade. Yeah.
Probably a water refill station too, but the last couple I've been to had some.
Yeah. Just better planned, I guess. I don't not as Warped Tour is a very well known thing, but at the same time MTV wasn't there, that wasn't broadcast on pay-per-view, Yeah, I don't know. Just not as poorly planned, and tensions weren't high. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Would you guys have back then? Would you say if we were in 1999, how old we are now? Would you guys have gone
to Woodstock? Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
At the end, they say that Woodstock 2019 was planned, and then they canceled the last minute.
I remember that, and they had bands lined up and everything.
That would have been fun. Yeah, I would have went to that. Hopefully, they do another one because that was supposed to be 50-year anniversary.
Oh yeah, Woodstock 50 is what they were calling it.
Yeah.
So my buddy, he after he watched the documentary, he went and found the pay-per-view online. And he said at the end, they were like, yeah, we'll see you in Woodstock 2004. And obviously that didn't happen. I guess that was their plan, to do it every 5 years. And then after 99, they're like, no, we're not doing this anymore. Like, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. It's like, no, we're not doing this.
It is pretty crazy that it was a 3-day festival and people could have left if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But everyone stayed for the absolute mayhem.
Yeah, I bet they actually kind of talk about how that town really got a little boost in economics with people going to their bars and going to the hotels and everything, and they kind of really embraced it. They changed one of the bar names to something Woodstock, whatever the name was or something. They really embraced Woodstock coming I think it was Rome, New York.
Yeah, if I remember correctly. I remember it being called Rome.
It was in New York?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think all the Woodstocks were in,
the state of New York.
Upper state New York.
Oh, okay.
I think at the end they said that the town only, after paying all the bills and everything, only made out with $200,000 though.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's right. That's sad.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of sad. Yeah, I would have figured a lot more than 200 grand.
Yeah.
Given that 400,000 people went.
For real.
You know,
Oh my god.
that's such an insane amount of people. Like, jeez.
What is that, like 50 cents they made off per
Every
person?
person.
Oh,
Damn,
wow.
that sucks.
That's sad.
I wonder how many were at Woodstock 69.
I think around the same. 400, 500,000. Wow. Maybe more. I don't know how many went to 90. Probably that area too, in the 100,000s, I would imagine.
Yeah, Woodstock 69, 400,000.
Wow. Yeah, that's
pretty cool.
Insane amount of people.
That is.
Jeez. Would you have gone to Woodstock 99?
It would have been fun.
Yeah?
That would have been crazy. I don't know, though, because there's like footage of a guy and a girl walking around, and the guy's like, man, those guys were animals back there. They kept on telling my girlfriend to show them their tits.
Yeah.
I would have been nervous to go with Sam.
Yeah.
I think I might have went alone or with a pack of dudes.
Yeah.
And left Sam at home. Although she loves all those bands, so she would have went. But that's scary. They could just snatch you up any second.
I know. Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about sexual predators.
Jeez.
Boy, oh boy.
Would you have gone?
I mean, if yeah, probably. I mean,
if you didn't know what you know now, like
right,
probably.
Exactly. I mean, probably because I don't know. I'm not, because I'm trying to think like how I'm thinking now, my musical tastes, because I don't know if I would have been into Limp Bizkit. I probably wouldn't have been into Limp Bizkit at the time. I don't know. Do you guys think you would have been into Limp Bizkit at the time?
I just know their break stuff, like.
Yeah.
Isn't Limp Bizkit gonna be at the Aftershock Festival?
Are they really?
I think
so. Yeah,
oh
they're one
God.
of the headliners.
Yeah.
They're actually. I give them. Fred Durst was a front man. He was very, high energy and getting people to be into their shows. But in my opinion, like they're talented musicians.
Mm-hmm.
I always liked the guitar player. He's got like crazy ass face paint on and stuff. Like, I don't know. They weren't. Fred Durst is definitely kind of. I don't know if he was just kind of elaborating the frat guy thing, but I don't. I think they kind of had a little bit of artistic merit in some senses.
Yeah.
But
I'd be moshing.
Yeah.
Riding the plywood. Yeah.
Riding the plywood, surfing it. Oh man. Yeah, it definitely represents that era for sure. I think it kind of encapsulates late 90s.
Yeah.
In either, mainly I guess, bad ways, unfortunately.
For the good and the bad.
Yeah. But yeah, it was entertaining. 2 hours, but I thought it was entertaining all the way through.
Oh yeah. Anything else you guys want to say about it?
I don't know. I think
toxic masculinity, women.
A lot of poop.
A lot of poop rolling around.
Capitalism.
Excrement. Ugh.
The showers were scary too, peeking in on the women because it's just separated by a curtain.
Of course. Yeah, of course guys are going to do that. Like, come on.
The people who produced it were kind of weird.
Yeah, just, again...
They lost control pretty fast.
Yeah.
The security guards were crazy.
Yeah.
The rioting.
Yeah.
It does kind of remind me of the George Floyd riots, too.
Yeah.
The way they were destroying everything and running around lawless.
Yeah.
That's just what riots are, though.
Very true. Yeah, very true.
Woodstock was just reckless abandon. They didn't have a purpose for it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's one thing they bring up, I guess... Probably should have brought this up earlier, but in the 60s there was a lot more social unrest in the 90s. It's like, what are these people mad about?
They did bring that up.
What's their generation's fight against? What
does our generation have to fight against too? Yeah,
but at the same time, we had all the riots last year. It's kind of a civil rights and whatnot with the George Floyd and everything, and the police brutality and all of that. I'd say more than what people had. Well, I don't know, because Rodney King happened in the 90s too.
That's true.
Not in the late 90s, but...
Early.
I don't know.
It kind of just keeps on echoing through history. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Yeah.
America's a strange place.
It is.
I love it.
Yeah, same.
It's exciting.
Yeah, exactly. It's always entertaining.
Well, thanks for showing us this one, dude.
Yeah, I hope you guys got a
Thank you.
kick out of it.
It was fun.
Yeah, I thought it'd be
Fun to
interesting.
reflect.
I like with you guys. I had a feeling it would be very interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
And it was.
Yeah. Thanks for sitting in, Sam. That was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you were here.
I was
You have
super
a lot of good
nervous about
insight.
it, but it felt really like just casual. So.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you.
And
Thanks.
next time we will be covering The Matrix.
Yep.
Tune in. Later.
See ya.
Bye.